So the name Matt Goggin probably first came across my radar when I was watching the 2009 Open Championship, and you had a legitimate chance to win that tournament at Turnberry.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it gives Tom Watson a few nightmares too. Everybody remembers this tournament for that duel. Obviously, you were involved in the action going down the stretch. Do you remember what you were doing when things were playing out between Sink and Watson? Where were you at that point? Were you watching the tournament?
Yeah, no, I wasn't watching actually. I was just sort of decompressing in the locker room by myself, to be honest, sort of getting ready I was on the charter back. I think I was the last player in the last group, so I was kind of holding everyone up. So I was sort of cognizant of getting to the plane so everyone can get to the Canadian Open and not being the guy that just sort of holds everyone up.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But yeah, it was an interesting because all day it felt like obviously the first couple of holes you're so nervous you can't even, it's an out-of-body experience. And then you finally settle down and it really just becomes another round of golf. And you get so into what you're doing that, the outside stuff. And even when it came to the end of the tournament, it wasn't like I got any more nervous. I felt just as comfortable making a couple of bogeys as what I did making a couple of birdies. It just felt like a regular day. And Tom and I spoke about a few things on the way around. It was only really towards the end where you could tell the intensity in really ramped up for him. Just with a few conversations, a few things he said to his caddy, you could tell that now it was really serious as opposed to just like regular last round of a British Open serious. It's like I'm going to win serious.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it was interesting because I was pretty close to the action when he played the last hole. And I even said to my caddy, because after I didn't birdie 17 and bogeyed 15, 16, it was like, well, it's over for me. And that's when I kind of said to my caddy at the time, Brian, I'm like, can you believe this is going to happen? Because we hadn't really, you don't bring yourself to think, like, he's just another player, right? It's just, you're out there doing your best and you don't really care about anybody else. It's not like you're not worried about his story, you're worried about your own story and trying to finish it off for yourself. So then when you get there, it was like the first time I thought well, this is kind of crazy that he's about to win the tournament. And he pulled out, I think it was probably the old Adams Rescue back then, like when it was probably
those were the state of the art.
That was the original rescue. No one had rescues. That was probably the only one. And I remember even thinking at the time, like, wow, why would he be taking on the bunker? This is insane. Just hit like a 5-iron and a 7. It was howling down breeze. And he just slots it between the gauze on the right and the bunker on the left, which is like a black hole, that bunker. Actually, probably the best shot of the tournament was, I think, Lee Westwood hitting it on the green out of that bunker. You have no idea how impossible that is. But then when he ripped his second shot, I think he just hit it too good. Do you know what I mean? He just flushed it. Like you couldn't land it in the middle of the green. It was always going to go long. It was never, there was no chance it was going to check or stop. It was going to run 30, 40 yards. And it was almost like the hole before he had sort of a shot you could putt or a shot you could chip. And he decided to putt it and he putted it down stone dead, made a birdie. And I think that really influenced his, the pitch shot on 18 because it was a very simple pitch back into the breeze. You had coming up and over a swale. It's sort of one of those shots where if you don't quite hit it right, it's going to land on the downslope and run. If you hit it a bit too good, the wind's going to hold it up and it's going to spin a little bit. But if you got to putt it up and over and down, and like that week, the frog hair, or we call it the frog hair, the fringe was a little bit lush for a British Open, so it was really two different speeds, so it was always a little bit trickier to judge. But I honestly think that the success of the shot on 17 gave him the feeling to putt that. And I would say his probably short game wasn't he wasn't chipping the ball stone dead either. Like he's chipping the ball to 6 or 7 feet a lot, but he was just making them.
Right.
But it's similar to when you watch sort of Kenny Perry when he hit that shot through the back of 17 at the Masters when he's got a pretty simple chip and he blades it. And you go, and it's just like all the energy drains out of someone and you can see their shoulders, like instead of being up and like ready, it's like everything just sort of, it's like it's a complete switch of energy. You go from like being positive and I'm going to win to like, oh, don't stuff this up or what have I done or I can't believe I hit that, any of those sorts of things. So it was a similar thing where as soon as he hit that shot, it was just like, the whole feeling around there was like, oh no. It was like this moment of celebration to instantly, that oh no. It's like being in a football stadium when the momentum swings and you just know something bad's about to happen. And it was almost like from that moment onwards he was done, which, was pretty disappointing because he hit a pretty terrible putt, and the rest is kind of history, right?
Yeah, very interesting. I've never heard that sequence of events narrated in that much detail, but obviously you were right there, and so you saw every shot, and it kind of makes sense when you think about the decisions he made on that hole, and then how it led to what happened in the playoff as well.